guess starting off with Zach Clemence, is he back on campus?
Yeah, Jack got back last night, got on campus this morning. If you guys are curious at all, I had a conversation last week with Zach. He contacted me and we were discussing, all things going on with him, future transferring, all the stuff. And he asked me if would it be a possibility if he could return, and we discussed what we both thought would be best for his future basketball wise, and because I feel really good about our roster. I mean, Zach's not going to come in and impact the guys that we recruited in a way that we have told them how we were going to utilize them. And Zach's thinking was it would be in his best interest to, in a perfect world, to redshirt and help us every day in practice and allow himself an opportunity to grow and get better, just to see how that takes him to a place where he can be a major contributor at this level at some point in time. So I think it's a good decision if he wasn't happy with this, totally content with the decision he's made, and I know he feels good about it.
Would he have been eligible to play this season if he wanted to and
Yes.
not take the redshirt?
Yes, he never transferred. He never left. He was just home in San Antonio. The school hadn't started out there yet, so he never stepped foot on anyone else's campus.
Can he practice starting now?
Yes, yeah. He's a normal guy, so he's practicing. Matter of fact, I hope he's able to practice today.
Is this a unique situation? Is this something you've ever envisioned happening? Just specifically with Zach?
I didn't envision this happening with Zach. That it caught me totally off guard when he reached out to speak about this. But we loved Zach when he was here. It didn't work out for him from a playing time standpoint, and I think there's multiple reasons why that didn't happen. When he made the decision to leave, Hunter wasn't here yet, but Zuby and Ernest were. So, and then you recruit, he's thinking, well, I didn't play ahead of those guys this year, and or at least I was kind of a co-player with those guys this year, and he wanted a bigger role. And when we got Hunter, obviously, as long as he's healthy, people are going to have a lesser role from a minute standpoint. So we had two leave, and then that opened up the opportunity for Zach to say, well, if I could just practice and get better and learn this year, I think I could be a better player at age 23 than I am at age 22. And that's basically what it came down to.
Is he on scholarship?
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel set at 11 then, or do you feel like you might add another person?
I think we're pretty set right now, but I will tell you this, if there's an opportunity to recruit somebody that will make us better, then I'm totally open to that. But I like our roster.
What are the biggest things you want to see him improve on during that redshirt year he's going to be taking?
Well, I think he needs to, he's got to get stronger. Zach's really been put in a tough position, to be honest. He's a prototypical four-man, but we play guards at the four. So it's been a hard deal for him because he hadn't been able to play on the perimeter much at all. Certainly he can improve out there, but if he's going to play inside, he's kind of got to get stronger and do some things different. So in all honesty, with Zach, he hasn't been utilized in a way that best suits his own skill set, because we play different than that. But he certainly has an opportunity to practice and get better in those areas that maybe he hasn't had the opportunity to practice in, especially playing on the perimeter in his first 2 years.
In terms of the draft on Thursday, what have your conversations been like with GMs about Grady?
Been very positive. I'm not going to make any bold predictions, but it's been very positive that people like Grady a lot, and they like him, you know, all throughout the lottery, not just at the end of it. So I don't know where he is as far as how it will fall. You know, there's a lot of rumors out there that nobody really knows how it's going to go down, because there could be some potential trades that could certainly disrupt what people perceive to be the consensus on how certain franchises are thinking. But I don't know enough to know of the fact that everyone I've talked to is really high on Grady.
What about Jalen?
Yeah, Jalen won't get drafted as high, you know, obviously, but you know, he's had an impressive workout. You know, I've talked to some teams that said that he shot it as well as anybody that rolled through there. You know, he's ultra competitive. People know that. People see him play a lot. So I don't know. You know, he didn't have a great combine from a statistic standpoint, but anybody that's seen him play knows he knows how to play. So I don't think that's setting back at all. I think you know if he could sneak in the late first, that would be fantastic. But I don't think he'll last much after that.
What kind of advice do you give your players generally about kind of how to approach draft night and how to kind of, I guess, keep their composure if things aren't going the way they want to, but not?
Well, I don't know that I have given them a ton of advice except during the actual draft. You know, I'm not going to call a guy. I mean, I tell them what I'm hearing. And I tell them that this is the range that I'm hearing or that we're hearing, and that, you know, going to the right place, going to somebody that wants you is far more important than getting drafted a little bit higher. You know, look at Christian Brown, for instance. It's going to pay off for him tenfold by being in a situation where he could contribute as a rookie and on you know, obviously the best team in the league, than it would be going to a place and maybe playing a little bit more and not having the on-court success or team success. So I think the most important thing is going to a place where you can actually be wanted and needed, and not go to a place that just fills a roster spot. And unfortunately, I think that happens quite a bit too. So you look at Ochai. Ochai started the last 35 games of the season this year for Utah. It turned out great for him, but it was a really slow start. And I think that's probably commonplace with most guys, getting off to a slow start.
You put so many guys in the league by now, at the top, second rounders, all that stuff. Does it still have the same feel when it gets to draft night? Do you still?
It will, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it will, because I'm going to New York, so it'll have a very exciting feel for me, and I'll be there with Grady and with Jay Will, because he's planning on going as well,
Right.
sitting in the stands. At least that's the last I heard as of yesterday. So I'll have, I'll feel good about being there with those guys. I could be off on my numbers a little bit, but I think it's like 48 or 50 that played in the league since we've been a head coach. And I think like 38 or 40 from Kansas that have played in the league since so that's a pretty good number, even though it's never enough. But I'll be real excited for these guys. I mean, it's a life-altering moment. And once the draft happens, and 2 days down the road after you've done your own press conferences and all that stuff, now it all comes down to get down to business, because nobody cares where you got drafted or when you got drafted. But for this particular night, it'll be a special night for these two.
Will you be in the green room?
You know, I never understood why they called it the green room, because all it is just, it's the area right in front of the stage. But if it is colored green, I'm unaware of it. But no, I'll be down there with Grady. Yeah.
Do you think the fact Jalen's done so much, does the NBA now look at the age of a player as a good thing? I mean, it'll be his age 23 season.
Yeah, so he's 22 now, right? Yeah, so this is how I look at it, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm fairly accurate on this. I think if you're gonna go really high in the draft, I think they like to draft on potential. I think they like to not know your warts as much. I think that it's easier for a 19-year-old to go in the top 10 than it is maybe for a 23-year-old to go in the top 10, without question. But after you get past a certain level, teams want players that can come in and contribute and help them. And if you look at the guys that we've had enter the league, whether it be Oach, although Oach went 14, whether it be CB at 21, whether it be Devontae, there's been a lot of guys that have gone later in the draft that were more prepared to help that particular team than maybe a 19-year-old that went earlier. I think that's kind of the crapshoot of it. So being old, the perception was a long time that the longer it took you to get to the league, the more it hurt you. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the longer it takes you to get to the league, potentially could weigh definitely in your favor too. The guys that are taken in the second round aren't necessarily being drafted or thought to be a franchise type player that'll play with that franchise for 10 years and be the leading scorer on that team. They're not taken there. They're taken there, can they plug them in and somehow help us be better? And, guys with experience sometimes have a better shot at doing that.
Does Christian Brown's success help Jalen? Because he's ready-made, maybe. Like
Yeah,
Christian?
no question. I think Christian and Ochai's success definitely helps guys and Jalen primarily because they've been in the same program and those guys did so well their rookie year.
Do you have a favorite all-time draft day moment or story?
I don't know about a favorite, but I'd say being there when Wiggs went 1 and Joel went 3. That didn't suck. That was a pretty good draft day. I remember taking pictures with my phone that has Wiggins number 1 and Jabari was 2 and then Joel was 3. Taking pictures on my phone at the big board. That's pretty cool that you had 2 of the top 3 picks in the NBA draft on one team. But that doesn't mean that was more special for those guys than it was Ben McLemore getting drafted 7 or Thomas Robinson getting drafted 6 or the Twins going 13 and 14 and Xavier and Cole going 13. I mean, or Julian going 8. There's a lot of things that go into it. Who would have thought Darnell Jackson would go late 2nd and he ended up making the Cavaliers? So I mean, there's been a lot of good draft nights.
Just looking at, their roles at KU and what they will look like in the NBA, and you kind of talk to them about the adjustment of, hey, it's not going to be what you were in college and all that.
All the time. The thing about it is when you go to college from high school, how many of those guys that go from high school to college actually have the same role in college that they had in high school? Leading scorer, can be a volume shooter, all that stuff. Very few, if any. You go from college to pros, it's the same thing. How many guys in the NBA have the same roles that they had in college? Very few, if any. So how do you leave this place, go to the NBA, and be able to make the best players on those particular franchises play better? How do you make those guys better? That's the key. It's not going to be how do they make you play better. They're not going to run plays for you. They're going to run plays for them, and it's your job to help the team score off of their plays as opposed to your own. Now, Grady could be an exception because people will try to get him a shot and stuff like that. But I don't think CB's been effective at Denver because they run a lot of stuff for him. I think CB fits into what they're trying to do that gives the team the best chance to win.
When you recruited Grady in high school gyms, did you ever think he could be a lottery pick?
Yes.
After 1 year
No.
at Kansas?
No, I thought Grady would be an NBA player because of his unbelievable ability to do this and his hot, and he's 6'8", but I never thought it would happen after 1 year. I thought it would probably take 2, but he did so well this year. And after the Duke game in the Garden, I don't think anybody in our program even anticipated that there was a chance that he would come back. I think everybody thought he would leave. Same thing with Ben McLemore. Ben McLemore was a 2-year guy until we played at Ohio State. And then we played at Ohio State and it's like, oh, he went from a 2-year guy to a for sure top 10 pick. And that it happened that fast. And certainly I kind of felt the same thing with Grady after the Duke game.
What about Jalen? Did you know he was an NBA first or second rounder?
I don't think I did. But I certainly felt it this year. You know, Jalen Wilson, guys, he had as good a senior year as anybody that we've had here. He and Ochai, you know, the difference was Ochai's team won it when he was a senior. Jalen was part of that. Jalen's team didn't win it when Jalen's senior year. But you just look at Ochai's compared to Jalen, those are comparable years. I mean, Jalen Wilson had as good a senior year as you can have.
You talked about the roster and what you like. Your expectations, just you, what do you think the limit is for this team?
Too early. You know, we gotta shoot it better. We gotta do some things better. But when you just look at a little bit of size, obviously, play through a big, terrific perimeter quickness, playmakers. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about it. But you know, who knows? But we're going to have a nice team. You know, as long as we stay healthy, we're going to have a nice team.
And how does a guy like Hunter change? I mean, if you don't, how does he change this? What dynamic does he bring, or what does he have that you can't teach, or what are some things that you really like about him?
Well, I think that Hunter scores the ball more easily than anybody that we've had here in a while, if ever. But I also think, you know, Hunter be the second best passer on our team. I mean, there's Juan and then there's Hunter, which is different you don't see that very often with the 7-footer. So he can really pass the ball.
Coach, you joked a couple weeks ago about Hunter thinking that he's a 4. Have you thought about how you plan to use him at all, or if he's going to be just around the hoop, or get him around on the perimeter much?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that he thought he was a 4. I don't remember saying that.
It was just at the Topeka jail. You said he was a 4, but you couldn't tell him that the 4th player of the hoop.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was just trying to be funny. That wasn't Hunter. That was just me trying to be funny. Which obviously didn't work. I think that Hunter needs to be moved around and played everywhere. I think he's a perimeter player that can post. I think he's a post player that can play away from the basket. He's really a good passer, really good passer.
No slight to Hunter on this, but you got to see Nikola Jokic in Game 5 of the Finals. As you're just watching that as a coach, is there anything that you're watching and mentioning Hunter's passing that you're like, oh, maybe we could do something like that? Maybe, you know, that's
well, you know what? In all honesty, we run a lot of the same stuff that Denver did with KJ last year. A lot. The 4 out, the ball screen, the short rolls. We run a lot of that stuff. I think that we can even be more effective doing some things, even with Hunter being a bigger target and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I do.
What do you think about Coach Bob Huggins? He had a great career, but it looks like it's over.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Hugs. I text him, but yeah, we're all sad for that. It's obviously awful for Hugs the way it went down, and it's not good for our league because he was so good for our league, and but yeah, you know, you guys know how I feel. I love the guy, and I hate that. The way it went down, and certainly not making excuses, nor would Bob make excuses either. But he will certainly be missed.
Coach, when you have like Kevin come back, you know, through the draft process, and when you have players that come back like Jay Wolf, they went through the process a couple of times. Does that help the younger players who, of course, have aspirations to go to the NBA?
I think it does if it works out for them. You know, Jay Will coming back, if it works out for him, I think that's another bonus stuff. Ochai, it worked out beautifully for him going through the process. Kevin still remains to be seen, but I think it will in a big way. But I think, you know, Jalen goes through the process and he goes from averaging 11 a game to a first-team All-American. Ochai does the exact same thing the year before, first-team All-American. You know, Kevin, hopefully he can play to a really high level as well. But I think also NIL puts less pressure on guys to think they have to leave so they can totally provide for the family. You know, guys want to get out and work so that way they can provide for the family. Well, now opportunities being set up so the kids can actually provide for their families while still in school. So I think that also plays a big role too.
Are you amazed that Coach Larry Brown is being tied to the Washington assistant?
I saw that yesterday. I don't know about amazed, but I will tell you this, I hope that I could do that at age 83, but there's probably gonna be a lounge chair and a boat or something that I could probably do whatever I wanted to do from that, every bit as much as coach. But, you know, that's what coach knows. He knows coaching. I mean, he's done it his entire life, and he's impacted so many people and helped so many people. So, you know, and he can certainly add value. There's no doubt about that. He'll add value still for a long time. As long as he feels good, he'll add value because he's so bright. But I think it's a great hire for Mike. And the rules have changed. I don't know if you guys have studied it, but the rules have changed now where you can have 5 assistants on the court now beginning July 1. So, you know, with us, that could be Dooley, that could be Brady, you know, that we could have coaches on the court. It used to be you can have a substitute coach if you can't be there. Now that's not the case. You can actually have 5 on the court. So that'll be great for coach.
Did you ever have conversations with him about longevity when he was 20, 25 years ago with Larry about how long he might want to do it? I mean,
No.
You just knew?
No, I don't know. Well, 20, 25 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But you guys got to understand something. It was 40 years ago when I was with him here, or 38 years ago. So I don't remember having. You know, he was 45 years old. I didn't remember having conversations with him like that. I was too concerned on making sure his dog got fed and laundry picked up. But since then, we've talked about it quite a bit in the last 10 or 12 years, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't surprise you that he's still going?
Absolutely not. Whenever he left SMU, he wanted a job as soon as he left SMU. And he's been active and staying after since then, yeah.
About the Wichita State game, I think their AD said he was kind of excited for a renewal of the relationship between the schools. I mean, from your perspective, what do you think a good relationship between the two programs would look like?
Well, I don't really see it as anything other than we're playing this year. But that doesn't mean that. See, this is where it gets kind of screwy. Why is there a bad relationship? Because fans didn't like the way something ended 25 years ago. I mean, that has nothing to do with anybody involved with our program or their program now. So I think this is something that is positive. I think it's positive, and I think it's a good start to whatever a good relationship looks like. But in my opinion, there was never a bad relationship. But I do think that there's so many things. When's the last time Kansas? I know we played them in the tournament and they beat us. But when's the last time they played prior to that? 93, so that's going back 30 years. So was that the tournament also in 30 years ago?
No, it was at home.
Okay, so I can understand why people going back that far felt like there was something that happened to create where you didn't play anymore, kind of like us in Missouri. But now, but I don't feel that, and I guarantee their administration coaches don't feel that either. So it'll be a good game though. I mean, it'll be a great game for our fans and their fans.
Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.